This little handheld has one big problem. But first, this isn't actually the first rotating screen device we've seen. A super obscure Chinese project called the Sugar Cubes had a rotating screen was launched a couple years ago. The difference is their screen rotated, but the controls stayed exposed the whole time. So while it didn't really make a lot of sense, Anbernic took that idea and actually did it right. They cleverly hid the controls behind the swivel. And honestly, it's a really cool handheld. But that one annoying flaw, well, we're going to talk about it. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. But let's dive in and talk about all the great things that Anbernic did here and the one thing that may be a deal breaker for most of you.
What is that?
What is it? It's the Anbernic RG Rotate. And today we're going to take a look at, unbox, and talk about this innovative handheld, which has one major downside, which may be a deal breaker for many of you. Let's start. So the box, as you can see, it's pretty fancy. We have a nice rotate box here. It's in a beautiful silver, which matches the silver that we got. It does come in Aurora silver, which is the all metal version, or the polar black, which has metal and plastic, making it lighter. But I think the box here is pretty nice and interesting. We've got a picture on the front, as always, the RG Rotate. There's not a lot written on the box, which I think is fine. No problems there. Opening up inside, we have the Rotate. We'll get this out of the way for a second. And then we have a package. And the package includes a few interesting things in the package here. As I open this up, it's just a flat box. But looking inside, we can see we do have our USB A to C cord. So no surprises there, a typical cord that we're used to. We have some wipes for a screen protector. Have fun doing that. Then we have the additional caps. Now these are if you want to have the raised shoulders on there. And then we have the manual. And the manual here is your typical Anbernic manual. Not a lot going on. Pretty basic, pretty straightforward manual, but it gets the job done. Overall, pretty nice packaging as always. I do like that it has the extra caps. However, I thought the caps would be more like the Trim UI brick or brick hammer, but you actually have to open up the unit to switch these out. So not quite as easy as I anticipated, but I like that they added that. I think it's a nice touch. So I think the package looks nice, but let's get this in here because the real star of the show, of course, is the handheld itself. And initial unboxings and previews when they first announced this, I was very, very interested in the way that this looked because the sizing is hard to guess or judge from just in videos or pictures. But my goodness, this thing is petite. It's a lot smaller than I thought it would be. As you take a look here, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous metal handheld. The weight of it is not overly big either. I was worried that it would be a little too heavy to hold, but as you can see here, even one-handed, I can easily hold this and I can rotate it up. So it is a good size overall. It is a very well made handheld. The aluminum on this is very solid, although I've become a fan of magnesium alloy and would like to see Anbernic experiment with that. It is more expensive, but boy, does it feel great. But this aluminum feels really nice. It is nice. It reminds me of the aluminum on the 477M. I think it's probably similar material. Now, before I get into talking about the software experience, let's talk about the hardware. The rotating mechanism is smooth. I don't think anybody will find that this hinge has any issues. It actually rotates and works as expected, pretty straightforward. I found that rotating it is quite satisfying, as you might expect most people to believe. Now, there is a little bit of a dilemma here with this. I talked about one deal breaker that might be for some people, and we'll get to that in a second. But first, I want to talk about this little notch. So there's a little notch here that when it folds over and rotates, it falls into place. But when you pull it out on the right side with your hands here, you are exposed to this little edge. And for some people, the little edge might be a little bit annoying, possibly a little bit sharp, especially if at that point you have a cut or something. It's really not going to feel great to play. I did not find this to be bothersome as some others did, but I thought I would point it out because there are some people who are experiencing this to think that it's terrible. As always, let's go through the hardware here and talk about the experience with using the hardware. Let's start with the buttons. And the buttons on this are your typical buttons. Now, we've already independently confirmed, and other people have swapped out the buttons from the RG34XXSP. They are the same buttons, so have at it if you want to switch those out. This means that the experience here is going to be what we saw already in previous anbernic handhelds, which is fantastic. I really love the buttons here. They're well spaced out. They feel great. They feel fantastic. They've got a good travel distance to them. They're not overly loud, and they work very well. Now, this D-pad. The D-pad, unfortunately, is not the great D-pad that we're experienced from anbernic usually. I have found the D-pad to be adequate, but I've also found a few issues with it. It's a little bit sensitive in its digitation, rocking from left to right. It is not something that I find to be a deal breaker, but again, I think some people may find that to be a deal breaker. But no, that's not the one thing that I'm going to talk about here in a little bit that I think is maybe a big deal breaker. But the D-pad, it rotates okay. It's overly sensitive. I like this. They have tried so many D-pads. I wonder why they went with this particular style of D-pad with the dome. I'm not sure, but maybe it was a design issue or something that had to fit in with the whole rotate. It is great that it hides perfectly. When you rotate this down, it fits in there. It doesn't stick out. There's no chance of it hitting. It's flush. I like that. Is there a version of this with sticks in the future, like the SP, the 34XX SP? I don't know, maybe, but probably sliders would be better. The other buttons here are the typical anbernic back and home button, and then you have select and start. So it's very, very basic sort of control setup for something that has a T618 that can play PS2 and GameCube games. So kind of interesting there. Moving to the side, and we do have a SD card on the side here, along with our volume rocker. The bottom has this interesting, on the metal version, an anbernic logo. Now, this is not present on the black version. The reason for this is because this is an all-metal shell, the Wi-Fi has to have a source of escape that's not through the metal shielding. Cleverly, this is where they hid that and put it there. So I like it. It'd be cool if it lit up. It doesn't, but it looks nice. On the top of it, we have the single USB-C port, and then we have the shoulder buttons. Now, the shoulder buttons, they're a little clicky. If you don't like clicky, you might not like these shoulder buttons. Again, they do provide you with the extra set of buttons to change this if you want to have a raised L2 and R2 button. So that's nice. I've kept mine flush. I think flush is fine. Also, with this little point here that some people are scraping at, having the taller button might help. It might have you curve a little more to avoid that. Maybe that's why they put that in there. Now, let's talk about the deal breaker. The single speaker. There is no headphone jack, and there's only a single backfiring speaker. That's right. If I was going to say the biggest flaw with this right now is the sound. You can use USB to do a DAC. You could use USB or Bluetooth headphones, but this speaker firing out of the back, it just doesn't sound great. And so if you want to use this as a media player, it's really unfortunate because it's kind of cool. They've got this really awesome cassette software on here. Take a look at this as I play a little clip of the music here that you can do it, which is even more disheartening since the sound quality on this is just completely terrible. Leaving shadows in the rearview mirror now. We're running with the night. Just chasing down the day. So, I wish this had better sound. The hardware here is very interesting. I think it could use a better D-pad. It's got perfect, nice buttons. It's got a great feel to it. The rotating screen is amazing. The heft of it is appropriate. The fact that you can change out the size of the shoulder buttons is great, but the big flaw here, the biggest problem I have with this is that the sound on this is simply unimpressive. The single hole on the back is not good enough. It's on the back. I don't like backfiring. It's not stereo because it's coming out of a single hole, and there's no headphone jack. I don't understand, but I'm not an engineer and I didn't design this. I don't want to take away from what this is great at. And in the next section, we're going to talk about the software and why this is a beautiful, beautiful way to have a very quick way to play games. We'll be right back. Hey, sorry to interrupt the video, but I wanted to take a moment to talk about something really cool. FPGA has come a long way, and if you're like me and picked up one of the new analog 3Ds, or you're waiting on a mod retro, you're going to want an authentic controller experience. And today I'm going to talk about this. This controller, which comes in a few fun colors, has given me an authentic experience. It uses 2.4 gigahertz with a dongle. It fits right into my analog 3D. It probably would work on original hardware as well. It's got hardly any latency, but it gives that authentic experience of holding the controller and, yes, using the C buttons like they were meant to be used with the Z button. Me and my wife were able to play a fun game of Mario Kart using this. I've used this and I don't have much interference and it seems to work pretty well. While there may be other solutions that are better, maybe even the 8-bit DOE, I find that these are fairly cheaper but actually work. So hit the link below if you'd like to pick up a couple of these and use them on your own systems. FPGA is coming along quite a ways, and these are awesome for using on hardware that has the original port. Back to the show. All right, so as we boot up here, you can see we have the typical anbernic boot screen. Now this is a Tiger T618. We've seen this all the way back starting in the RG505. It's been in the 405M. We have it in quite a few, the RG Vita non-pro edition, and now we have this in the RG Rotate. And I love the Android build on this. The implementation is great. Gamma has built Gamma for some of these systems. I don't know if he's working on this one. I hope so. But where I really find this to be an exceptional software is in something called Cannoli. And I've talked about Cannoli before in the past, but Cannoli is basically an idea that builds on Sean Iman's MinUI that we saw on Linux handhelds. And this gives the ability to very quickly get into games, change shaders, change aspect ratios, save your game, and then pause it. And what I love about this is when you are in a game and you're playing, if you rotate the screen down, it will shut off and go to the clock, okay? And then when you're ready to play again, you just rotate it right back up and you're right back into your game. So this is not really a video about Cannoli, but check out Cannoli if you want a very good, quick experience with a software. This is probably the best use case of Cannoli I've seen because we get Android, which gives us all the functions of Android, like excellent music players, but we also get this front end that operates and works a lot like what I love about Linux-based systems. Now, I also want to point out that this other problem that some people may see with this handheld is the fact that we used the one-to-one rotating screen. Now, the Cube XX is one of my favorite XX handhelds. I think it's fantastic. but it is a 1-to-1 ratio on a 4-inch screen, and it doesn't really even get up or try to play above PlayStation 1. With this one, people are going to want to play Dreamcast, N64, some PS2, some GameCube, and Game Boy Advance. And for those systems, this screen is just really a terrible screen ratio. Now, for Game Boy Advance, it integer scales really well, but I think many people like me prefer to have a proper screen ratio versus a integer scaling. So if you try to make Game Boy full screen on this, it's going to look terrible. But if you run it at its integer scale, it's going to have huge black bars. So it's not a great Game Boy experience. Also, for 4.3 systems, it's not that great either. You know, something like PS2 or Dreamcast, yeah, it's going to play it and it's cool that it can do it. But the screen ratio of 1-to-1 is not ideal for this. I wish they could have used a 3.2 screen like they did on the RG34XSSP. I'm not sure why they didn't go with that. Maybe because of the rotating aspect and they wanted to keep it square no matter which position it was in. But I really wish they would have went with that. Maybe we'll see another version with a different screen here. Now, one caveat, this plays Nintendo Wii very well. Games like Kirby and Cannoli are a joy to play on this. Now, while they're not properly scaled as well on this ratio, they're just fun to play. They work well because they don't need sticks. They're fun games. So check out Wii, especially WiiWare. So, again, I like that it's Android. I love using Cannoli on this. I love the quick ability to just pop it open, go into the game and play, change the settings, pop it closed. It keeps it. Now let's talk about the other thing here, the battery. This is only 2,000 milliamp hour battery, and some people may have thought that was too small. But because this is a T618, the thing charges fairly quick. This is not the RGDS where you have to wait a long time to have it charge. It will charge sufficiently in a nice, timely manner. And that makes it more favorable overall. Although the battery could be bigger, I like the form factor, the small of it. They kept it. I'm glad of it. Now we're starting to see some ingenious uses of this as well. Someone has created a 3D print to hold it and use it as a secondary screen on Android or PC devices. That's pretty cool. There's also some other uses here as a media player. If you use it as a digital audio player, you know, with the DAC, a digital audio converter, it can be really awesome there. Now, again, playing this, the sound is just bad. I mean, that's the biggest damn point. If I was going to say the worst, not worst, the most disappointing aspect of this is that the sound experience, which I don't have a high bar for these types of devices. I don't expect them to have like beautiful audiophile sound. The sound on this is just overall not very good. I still like this quite a bit. I love the rotating screen. I want to see that concept expanded. I love the pocket ability. I love the quick way to get in the game. There is so much to like about this. I would encourage you to check this out anyways. I'm going to try to take a look at the plastic one, but I love metal. You guys know that, and so I'm really happy with this. Again, the sound is a bit of a bummer, but I'm not really using this as a media player, you know, so I guess overall it's not too bad. But there's my review of the RG Rotate. Thank you, anbernic, for innovating. I'm really glad you're doing things like the slide, like the Rotate. First generations of products are almost never great or perfect. So let's hope for some improvements here. Let's get better sound on the next one, please. Remember to hug your loved ones and love your hugged ones because tomorrow's never promised. We'll see you next time, Deadheads. Dead Fred out.